Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, I'm glad you stopped by. Feel free to subscribe. This channel is everything home building, carpentry, and real estate. You get a little bit all of it right here. Hit that bell for notifications because there's gonna be a lot of videos coming at you in 2026. All right, this video is for you if you like modern furniture, but you don't like the price. I'm gonna show you how to make a modern outdoor bench like these for a fraction of the price. Instead of spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars on one of these benches, you're gonna learn how to make one of your own, and it's gonna be really, really easy. You don't even need all of these tools behind me to do it. So let's get started. All right, we're gonna be making this bench out of your typical one-by material you can find at like Home Depot or Lowe's. I'm not gonna be snobby and bring my lumber in from a woodworking, that's a really hard word for me to say, woodworking supply store that you would find for really nice lumber, because I want to make sure everybody can do this, and a lot of people don't have access to a wholesale woodworking supply company, and to be honest, you pay a lot of money for really nice lumber. So we're going to go ahead and start with one-by material. Again, your local home supply center will have what you need here. Now, typically, and you've probably seen some other videos, if you haven't, there's some other ones about making this similar type of bench out there. Going in and getting one by 4 material and just starting with that. The problem with doing that at, sorry, Home Depot and Lowe's, but you guys have the worst one-by material that I've ever seen. It comes all twisted, crowned, and if you have that kind of lumber and you're trying to make this bench, trust me, it doesn't work out great. It's just really hard to work with, and trying to actually like turn that lumber, even if you throw it through a planer, it's not gonna get real flat. So it's gonna be really, really difficult to work with. If you go with the 1x10 or 1x12 variety, it comes a little bit easier to work with, flatter, not as crowned or twisted, and that's what we're going to be working with. That's why I have this 1x12 material in front of me. So I'm going to rip it down. I can get 3 sticks of the 1x4 nominal dimension out of this, meaning it's actually going to be it's going to be a 3.5 inch rip on my table saw. I can get 3 of those in a 1x12. Keep in mind, 1x12 isn't actually 1x12, it's a nominal dimension. It's actually 11.25. So I have a little itsy bitsy piece of scrap left over from each one of these boards. The cut list is down below. Don't worry about trying to jot all this down as I go, because I'll have that whole cut list down below. You'll have all the information, all the materials you need to do this project. So without further ado, let's do that. Let's go ahead and rip this down on the table saw, get through all those pieces, and then we'll start cutting it all up.
Okay, so if you're going to rip stock down like I am, make sure you get that measurement at 3.5 inches inside of the blade, and then rip through all of your 1x12 stock without moving the fence to ensure that you have the same width for every single piece.
All right, now that you've made a giant mess, you've got 10 sticks at 1, technically 3/4 by 3.5. You're ready to get to your cut list. So have that in front of you. If you have a chop saw, the greatest way to cut that most consistently. If you have the ability to set up a stop station, basically where you have your lockout on every single measurement, you'll be consistent with your cuts. If you don't, well, just try and be as accurate as possible, because it's really important, especially on the short pieces and the legs, to have it as consistent as you can to make sure your bench is level. So you want to make sure your cuts are pretty accurate. Take your time. Let's get to it.
Okay, one more thing of note is to make sure that you cut all of your 60-inch pieces first. That ensures that you'll have enough stock from your material list to cut all of your shorter pieces, all the 17-inch and all the 13.5-inch pieces as well. If you go the other way, you're going to run out of material. And if anybody remembers anything from 4th grade math, you'll understand the associative property will tell you that that equation, make sure that you cut your 60 inches first, or you will not have enough material left over. Okay, if you want to be a knucklehead like me, make sure you don't review your cut list, even though I've made several of these. I should know how many I'm going to cut. Brain damage, and I actually cut 2 extra pieces here, so I used a little bit of extra stock. You're going to need 14 of the 13.5-inch pieces. I've got my stop block set up so I can make every cut as accurate as possible without having to run a tape measure on every piece. Cut your pieces, move them aside, run down to the block, cut it again, repeat until you're done.
Okay, well, don't be a jackass like me. Always triple check your cut list. I only needed 14 of the 17 inchers, not 16. So I went ahead and ripped one more board, or I actually had some left over of one of those boards, so I ripped another one because I'm gonna need that extra stick since I cut 2 extra 17-inch ones. So now we're gonna move on to the 13.5. We will need 16 of those. All right, congratulations, you've cut all your boards, you have your cut list completed, and we're ready for next steps. Those being, whether you paint it or stain it, I will be staining this bench. You're gonna sand the boards before you assemble the bench, because once the bench goes together, there's very little room in between these slats to be able to get all the sanding done, and if you don't sand it, you can't get a good application of paint or stain on it. And speaking of paint or stain, the other thing that I do ahead of time on this assembly, before I put the bench together, is I will paint or stain the boards. That is to make sure and to ensure that I can get a nice even coat on all the boards, again, because these long cuts are going in to make basically the butt area, the sitting area of your bench, and it's really hard to get in between these slats once everything's assembled and to get good even coats. And it's just a lot easier, trust me. Just trust me, okay? Done a couple of these. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and set these up. I'm gonna sand the big ones first, work my way down, flipping the boards over. I use a 220 grit. I know everybody that's in the comments that thinks they're a carpenter is like, yeah, you gotta start with blah, blah, blah. Yeah, here, this is a time-saving, easy, economical bench. 220 is not a fine enough grit where it's not gonna get the board ready and willing and able to take some stain or paint, you know what I mean? And it's also not gonna be too gritty where it's gonna strip everything down and at the same time not give a good adherence and a smooth finish to the boards. We're trying to do this with just one grit of paper and not running through several applications as I do with other stuff. This is just one way that I suggest you do the bench. So just trust me. Again, you gotta trust me. You're watching this video, trust me. All right, let's get to it.
Hey, what are you doing? You playing Jenga? No, we're not playing Jenga. Let's get back to work. Knock it off, dummy. Jeez Louise, I got to babysit everybody, including myself.
All right, that was easy. Just clap your hands and the shop gets cleaned. Let's do that every time from now on. Next step, as I said, we're gonna stain all the long boards because those are gonna run this way across the bench, and that's gonna be where your butt goes. So in between those slats, it's really hard to get a brush in there. So we're gonna clean these up. We're gonna get a nice coat of my black stain on here on both sides, top and bottom, and then we're ready to assemble the bench. Because ideally, we wanna make this as quick as possible, and truly, you don't have to stain every single board that's gonna make the legs, as you're gonna see here, because they get sandwiched together. Speaking of sandwiches, I'm getting hungry. Let's get started. Okay, so we now have all of our 60-inch slats stained both sides, so we don't have to try and get in between them once the bench is assembled. You can do top and bottom of the slats as well to stain them, or you can wait until the bench is fully assembled because you're going to have to do more staining anyway once it's assembled. Keep in mind, you don't have to do every one of these boards ahead of time as well because they're going to get sandwiched together, both the 13.5-inch and 17-inch boards, and you're going to see why in a second. So really the edges are going to have to be touched up or stained once the bench is assembled anyway. So my personal opinion is just go ahead and do both sides of the 60-inch boards. That way when you assemble, you don't have to get in between them. And you're still going to have touch up. You're going to have some screw holes, nail holes, etc. So next step, finally we get to assemble the bench. This is the fun part, in my opinion. Well, the whole thing's fun, but this is the best part of it. I'm going to have my SPAX or GRK 1.25" trim screws ready to go here. I've got my impact driver and my drill. I'm going to pre-drill all these holes so we don't risk splitting any of the boards as we're assembling each leg to the 60-inch slats. I also use a pin nailer, and really the pin nailer is it's not structurally to hold the bench together. It's just to set these in place instead of using clamps because I want to make sure I'm as precise as possible, getting every board flush and held together. And it's a lot easier to actually pin it and then set the screws. Sometimes, especially if you're not real experienced with doing an impact driver and screws, those boards want to move on you as you're screwing it together, even if you've got pilot holes. So I just pin it a couple places to hold it in place, and then I come back with the screws. And that was a long-winded explanation. So instead of me continuing to tell you how to do it, I'm just going to show you. Let's go.
Okay, so you start with laying out your 60-inch board down with two 13.5-inch boards at each end, making sure those 13.5-inch boards are flush to the end of the 60-inch board. That is imperative. Then you get your 17-inch boards. Make sure all the dust is off of them as you're assembling the bench. Like I said, get everything lined up flush to the edge. You take your 17-inch board and lay it on top of each side so it's set flush with the top of your 60 and the flush with the bottom of your 13.5-inch board. Once those are ready to go, tack them in place with your pin nailer if you want to do it that way. And then you want to move on to setting your pilot holes for your trim screws, and then set your trim screws in a format that will lock them in place, the top, bottom, and the center of the board. You want to go ahead and continue that pattern over again until you've gone through your entire stock. 13.5-inch goes down in front of the 17-inch boards. Then you lay another 60 on top, and you continue the process. Okay, if you followed all the steps correctly, you'll end up with no stock left and ready to go for stain.
Okay, the entire bench is assembled. Now it's time to finish staining this lovely bench that we've created. First things first, we got to fill some nail holes. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I actually like the technique of taking it and pushing it in with your finger and then taking your putty knife, your straight edge, and pushing straight on down so you have it just coming outside or proud of the hole itself. So when you go to sand it down quickly, it's going to be nice and flush and it'll hide that screw hole. They're not talking about nail holes, we're talking about screw holes because we use trim screws. So I'm going to go ahead, get that set up, wait for the wood filler to dry, and then finish staining. You can see now why we wanted to go ahead and stain these planks ahead of time inside, because boy, oh boy, that would have been tricky. Once your wood filler has dried, it's usually by color, I just take some 1500 or even 1000 grit sandpaper, something very, very, very fine, and I just do a little light sand of this whole area. You don't need much, just enough to get it ready to take the rest of the stain here and then finish this up. And we have a bench, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so once you've got everything covered, nice even coat, everything looks good, you got all your touch-up done, you can then go ahead and run, I would recommend 2 layers of polyurethane if you're gonna put it outside. If it's not going outside, you don't really need to do this step at all. These benches usually go outside for me, so that's what I do. 2 layers. I sand in between those 2 layers of polyurethane with about 1,000 or 1,500 grit sandpaper. Again, very light stain. And then once you have that final sand after that final coat of polyurethane, just take out some mineral spirits and another stain rag and just wipe up the dust, and you are good to go. You got yourself a nice modern bench without the modern price. That's it for this video. If you got any questions, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.